What's up, you guys? I am back from Alaska. I'm going to show you some footage of that hunt coming up next. But today we're talking about shootability. This is probably the most overlooked thing that people miss when they are trying to pick the right cartridge for a firearm. Now, this is also episode 2 of Cartridge Wars, where you guys are voting on what the ultimate cartridge is. We're looking for something that's extremely versatile. You could hunt deer or elk with it. You could shoot a weekend match with it because it has good long-range ballistics. It's light on recoil. All of those things that just make it the best overall cartridge for a hunting rifle. So let's dive right into some cool numbers here. We're going to look at free recoil energy and recoil velocity. Now, what we've done here is this is assuming a 9-pound rifle and a very average load for each cartridge. If I sort by the amount of free recoil energy, we can see what the biggest heavy hitters are. Now, I know from personal experience that if I shoot a 28 Nosler in a lightweight rifle, so probably a little bit sub 9 pounds, 8.5 pounds, kitted with a scope, it's too much for me in a lightweight rifle. So let's look at this first column. This is free recoil energy. Now, I think of free recoil energy as the amount of energy that's coming into my shoulder. And often, though, people confuse that with the amount of pain you're going to feel. Some cartridges are a push and others are a jab. And that is going to come in the next number we look at. So I think of free recoil energy as how much it's going to push me off target when I pull the trigger. And then free recoil or recoil velocity, I think of as how much jab. I've done a lot of shooting with things that are, a heavier free recoil energy than the other cartridge, but the velocity is slower and it just does not hurt as much. And so this is push off target, this is pain. All right, so if we look at push off target, we see the heaviest on this list. You guys have voted out a lot of other cartridges, but of what's remaining, 3378 Weatherby is our heaviest and 6.5 PRC is our lightest. Then we sort by the amount of pain that you feel, the recoil velocity, and it's a very similar list, but a few did change positions. But still, 3378 at top and 6.5 PRC is the bottom. Here's why I think those numbers that I have to show in a video, because everybody's going to ask about them, are kind of useless. And the reason is it's all assuming a 9-pound rifle. And so I kind of created my own algorithm to try to estimate about what each rifle is going to weigh. Here's how we did it. First, we do an add-on for the action length. Some of these require a magnum action, like a 300 drum, others a long action, like a 300 Win Mag, and others a short action, like the 325 or 300 Wisdom. But that still wasn't very accurate because of barrel length. This is going to be really cool. So what I did here is I tried to estimate the recommended barrel length for each of these cartridges. Something like a 7 Rim Mag is usually going to have a 26-inch barrel. And other cartridges, like a 6.8 Western, we often see in a 22-inch barrel. Here the algorithm gives it 23. Or a 6.5 PRC, a 22, 24-inch barrel is doable. Where some of them, like a 3378 Weatherby, they don't make it in a 26.5, but by the numbers and how much powder it has, you're going to keep getting advantage for the longer barrel you have, unless you're just switching the type of powder you're using to be a faster burner. And so once we know the recommended barrel length and we get the average weight per inch of barrel, now we have like a really accurate look of what that rifle would on average weigh. Now this is fully kitted up, with a scope and rings and everything for a pretty lightweight build, reasonably lightweight build. And so now we're calling this smart recoil energy and velocity. So this is the exact same formula, but now looking at a realistic weight for each of those cartridges, and suddenly things change. I'm going to sort here by the amount of pain we're going to feel, and things really shift around. So now where are the limits here? What do these numbers actually mean? Well, again, I always kind of look at that 28 nozzler as a barometer compared to the 7 rim mag. So when I shoot a 7 rim mag or a cartridge similar to that, it's in my head a little bit that this is a cartridge that is going to move you around a little bit. And so if I'm shooting in a very awkward position, I say, no, I got to get this right. I got to get it in a good position, a nice solid rest on my shoulder, make sure my head isn't too close to the scope. I just got to pay a tiny bit of attention when I'm shooting a 7 rim mag kind of cartridge. When I'm shooting a 28 nozzler kind of level, at that point, I want a rifle that's purpose-built for recoil. I want something that's a little bit heavier, a little bit chunkier, something that I can really shoot very, very well for that hard of a cartridge. So we say somewhere around 25 foot-pounds is where we need a purpose-built rifle to really do this well. A 7 rim mag, I can still shoot a lightweight rifle and get away just fine, but it is just barely in my head. I just kind of think about it a little bit. When we get into something like a 280 AI, 280 Ackley improved, man, I don't even have to think about shooting that cartridge. I mean, it's just, the recoil is so light, even on a very lightweight rifle, it just doesn't bother me one tiny bit. Now, those are kind of my levels that I think of as like, this is where I kind of shake out on recoil generally, but they are going to be different for everybody. I talked to somebody the other day that said they shoot 6.5 Creedmoor because they had, a shoulder surgery and they just can't take anything else. It's just painful. And so if that's you, then that's, something you definitely need to take into consideration. But everything changes when we bring these into the mix. This is a muzzle brake. I don't shoot muzzle brakes really hardly at all, almost never. I like my hearing. When I shoot a muzzle brake, even if I have good ear protection, it still rings my ears. And so when I shoot a muzzle brake, I put in plugs and muffs on top. It's just annoying shooting that way. And so for me, I like my hearing, I'm gonna protect it, and I don't love a muzzle brake for that reason. Suppressors are amazing. I'm gonna do a video coming up on buying a suppressor because I see a lot of people that are spending, they say, okay, I'm ready for a nice rifle. I wanna spend, $1,500 on a rifle. Well, would I rather have a cheap Ruger American that costs whatever, $400, $450 today with a muzzle brake? Or would I rather have a $2,000, $2,500 gun, but I don't buy the muzzle brake or the silencer? I'd rather have a Ruger American with a silencer than a more expensive gun. It's that big of an upgrade to your gun. To me, a silencer is not optional. Once you shoot with one, you don't want to go back. So now, things change a lot. Now, let's look at if we put a suppressor on here, and I'm kind of saying we're going to get about 25% reduction, getting about 30% reduction, depending on the design here. And so now, let's look at those velocity numbers, but minus 25 or 30%. Now, suddenly, I can shoot all of these cartridges without it really getting into my head, except maybe just the couple very, very top ones. And so a lot of you are looking to upgrade a gun. I cannot recommend highly enough that you just bite the bullet, just go to the store, use the kiosk, and get a silencer. It is so easy. I mean, really, you can buy a silencer in minutes and they handle all of the paperwork for you. And then you just got to wait about 190 days right now for it to get shipped to you after you pay for your tax stamp in the United States. It is the biggest upgrade by far you can make to shootability on any gun. If you have a gun that shoots a 1-inch group, next purchase should be the silencer. then you can talk about buying the higher end guns and stuff. I would highly recommend it. And now it is time for you guys to vote. You need to vote out which level of recoil we should start to cut out those cartridges from our Cartridge Wars. So as a reminder, here are the cartridges. We're looking at 31 different cartridges right now, from 6.5 PRC all the way up to 33.78 Weatherby Mag. And we're deciding on shootability right now. So I have highlighted these 3 lines that, again, I just kind of think of as, an average build guy. I'm not Hercules that can take, a 50 BMG mounted to my nose, right? But an average dude, these are kind of my barometers. So the question for you in the comments is, do you cut out everything 28 Nosler and above? Because that's the one where I really think you need a purpose-built rifle at that point. You need something that's built for that recoil, a little bit heavier. Do you go to the 7-rim mag and up? That I would consider the 7-rim mag. Most people are going to be just fine with 7-rim mag recoil. You can shoot it in a very light rifle and be totally fine, but at that level, you are kind of like, you're thinking like, oh, I got to be in a good position. Just, it's a little bit of a factor to think about the recoil that's happening there. But I can still shoot 7-rim mag. I mean, I can shoot great groups out of a 7 mag. You just got to be aware that this isn't a 6.5 Creedmoor anymore. Or do you go down to the 280 AI kind of level where you don't even have to consider recoil anymore? I mean, it's just fine for almost all shooters. But remember that if you think we should be either shooting with a silencer or a muzzle brake, maybe you choose option 4, which is we shouldn't cut out any of these for recoil, because if you put one of these on, actually you can shoot all of these just fine, as long as you're being reasonably careful. So that is shootability. It's time now for you guys to vote one of those 4 options. Don't cut out anything. 28 Nosler and above, 7 mag and above, or 280 AI and above. Let's hear it from you guys in the comments. We'll cut those out and then we'll move on to, now we're going to move into kind of a bracket system to find the ultimate cartridge. See you guys.